the physical limitations that are provided in the real world are what dictate the industries that we have here. All right, so today's question comes from Amy, and she asks, what the heck is Meta? What is the Metaverse? And how does it impact me as a marketer? All right, so this is a really long potential explanation, so I'm going to be as brief as I possibly can here. Meta, aka short for Metaverse. So Meta is the name that Facebook is changing to. So they're going to no longer be Facebook. As of December 1 of this year, they will now be called Meta. The Metaverse, and if you haven't seen the movie Ready Player One, that's going to answer a lot of your questions right out of the gates. That's probably more of a Hollywood depiction, but it will be very, very similar to what that movie, the portrayal of that movie. So basically, you'll put on a virtual reality headset, and eventually, I don't think to start, but eventually I imagine you'll have a full bodysuit, even a pod potentially you get into, that allows you to see and feel things as though it's happening in the real world. So it's in a completely virtual space where you create an avatar. It's like, imagine if when you played The Sims, imagine if you were the Sim. Right? That's 100% what it is. So you can have your own house or have a job or meet up with your friends or have get-togethers and do all these various things that maybe if you have friends on the other side of the world, if you moved here from Japan and you live in the United States now, you could still do little parties and get-togethers and hangouts and stuff like that. So the big difference is it's social media augmented to where it's three-dimensional. Not a two-dimensional screen with text, words, and occasional video. It's just fully immersive. You could do Thanksgiving with your family from home with your virtual reality headset on. So in terms of it being a marketing tool, and maybe you operate in a business where you work one-on-one with clients, or you do teleconferences where you're a therapist and you work with somebody via Zoom or something like that, your opportunity to not only market but conduct your business is going to be amplified like tenfold. Because now, just like I mentioned, you can hang out with your friends, you could see your clients. If you are into fitness, you could host workouts with 5,000 people all over the world with your headset on, going through the movements in your digital workspace that you created to fit to whatever it is you want to do, right? So instead of going out and spending thousands of dollars on a fitness facility, you could literally create and do body weight workouts inside of this in your digital studio that you created for yourself. So there's endless possibilities, endless abilities. I think it removes the geographic boundaries that we have in terms of conducting the ways that we do things. But for your specific question, imagine if you host a webinar and you create this webinar and you invite people instead of watching your screen and fighting for their attention while their phones are buzzing and everything's distracting them, people are calling them, but they're putting their headset on and they're joining your webinar inside of your digital classroom where your avatar is presenting that. And potentially you could set it on Evergreen where it's your avatar is going through that, but it's already been pre-recorded and you're just going through that process, right? So that could be huge. We have no idea. So the physical limitations that are provided in the real world are what dictate the industries that we have here. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you could fly. In the physical world right now, you could fly as a human being without any device, you could fly. The cost of an airline ticket would either be obsolete, flying like that would be obsolete, or be significantly reduced because it would be a choice because you don't want to have to, maybe it would exert you, or maybe it's a long flight and you're like, oh, well, I have bags, so I don't want to fly myself, so I'll take the airplane. Either way, the fact that you could fly would significantly lower and or eliminate the entire industry of airlines, right? It might just make it obsolete or completely rule it out altogether. We'll know more about what we can do inside of Meta based off of the limitations that the OS provides. So for example, if they say, well, you can't fly in Meta, just like you can't fly in the real world, then there's going to be industries that spawn that are built around how you can travel or teleport or whatever that you pay a fee for, just like you would in the real world. So as it relates to you running your business and marketing your business, if Facebook, aka now Meta, if they allow you to populate your messaging in the air, you could see people walking down the street with their headset on, right, in the metaverse, and they get a pop-up notification to join your webinar, or they get an ad that shows up regarding your offer, right, to join inside of your workout class. Join us now, that shows up on the side of a digital taxi cab inside the metaverse, or it pops up on a window to a building, a virtual building that's been built. Like the placement of your particular ad and the modality in which it's presented, so more three-dimensional versus two-dimensional, is going to be entirely different. You could potentially hire people to walk around inside the metaverse, to talk to people like guerrilla marketing, to talk to people that are walking around the space, or wear your branding, or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be potentially endless as far as what you can do and creating brand visibility for yourself. The good thing, as far as I see it, is this. There's no way Facebook abandons their algorithm, right? So you'll still have the same advanced marketing abilities that you'll have to be able to target specific individuals, just with a different mechanism, right? So think like, wow, I could actually present something to them in a three-dimensional form versus this static image that I put on my ad and hoping they see it when they scroll, right? So it could be overwhelming for a lot of people. It could be sensory overload where there's ads just popping up all over the place. So again, we'll see what those restrictions entail. But I think something else you'll see, and this is unrelated to Meta in particular, Facebook has just basically announced that they're going to abandon social media as they've done it the last 16 years. What that means is this. I think you'll see the rise of other social media platforms, right? They already have Instagram covered, but I think you'll see more. I think it'll continue to fragment. People are already self-identifying with platforms based off certain things that either they're interested in or their specific age group or demographic, right? So TikTok, very, very young crowd. It's teenagers. It's early 20s. Instagram, slightly above that age, probably all the way up into the 30s, right? And maybe even to your mid 30s. Above that is Facebook, right? And then you have subsets for Pinterest, right? So you have people that are on Pinterest, primarily moms that are looking to do DIY stuff at home, not limited to, but very, very popular there. Same with Etsy, right? So there, you'll see more platforms. I think the days of having a platform like Facebook that has half the planet are somewhat numbered, in my opinion. I think what you'll see is that the internet is going to kind of start splintering out into segmented groups. That bodes really well for you as a marketer, regardless of whether it's Meta or wherever you choose to advertise, which you should be advertising everywhere, or at least the ones where you know your people are, right? Don't advertise someplace just for the sake of advertising. If you know your traffic sources are there, then that's where you go, right? But what's going to happen is this. Right now, the algorithm on Facebook has training your pixel. You have to learn a lot about who your people are, right? So of all these people, half the world, how does Facebook have an algorithm that identifies who's the right fit for you? But if you have platforms where you not only are breaking down by age, but also interests, it's going to give you more of an ability to reach your target people much easier, potentially at a much more reduced cost. So it's only going to further benefit us regardless of what happens with Meta. We don't know, it may change everything. The entire advertising landscape may completely change. Keep in mind also that I don't think that Meta is going to come December 1, I don't think you're going to see this massive overhaul immediately. I don't think they're going to flip a switch and then all of a sudden you can't even use Facebook the way you use it right now. I think this is going to be a slow churn, right? YouTube failed miserably trying to have people upload 3D video. Miserably, it was a total flop. So Facebook's trying to now go 3D to VR. And more importantly, I think it's a little bit tone deaf because I don't think they realize how few people actually trust them, specifically their founder and CEO, Mark Zuckerberg. I think they're highly misreading their market. I think that there's a lot of people that will go into it, will buy into it, but there's a lot of people that are going to be super hesitant about now going from Facebook, which is already heavily censored and add all the things that are happening, to now taking that a step further and going inside of his universe, his digital universe. This could be an epic failure. So I wouldn't plan for any massive overhauls. Keep an eye on things. Watch what other people are doing. Emulate before you innovate, right? So watch and see what other people are doing. Get some inspiration and some ideas. But I don't know that I would necessarily be a huge pioneer in this just yet and put all my resources into it until we see what this thing is going to become and how it's going to be utilized. So that's my advice for you. That's my feedback. Don't freak out. Don't get overwhelmed. The world is changing. It is evolving, and that is the next big iteration is the virtual reality space, and it's been the case for a long time. They bought Oculus a long time ago. This has been a long-term plan for them. Let's see how they conduct and how they execute. So I hope that helps you. For anyone else that has other questions, both business or marketing related, or anything in specific as it relates to running your company or your startup business, you can drop those comments below. So just ask me a question and I will feature you in the next video or in a video upcoming. Also, don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, because if you don't, it's likely I will never see you again, because right now, honestly, that's the way the algorithm is on YouTube. You don't hit that bell for notifications, you probably won't see me ever again, and that's not what we want. So make sure you do that. There is an opportunity for you. If you want to work with me, check out the description below. There's all the ways you can continue your relationship with working with me and building your business and leaving your job. I'll see you guys in the next one.